I'm stepping down as the leader of the Labour Party. This morning, I informed His Majesty the King of my decision.
The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, has resigned after several weeks of internal turmoil in the government, which means the UK will have its seventh new leader in recent decades. But for Ukraine and Europe, the change of Prime Minister in Britain could bring both greater challenges and greater opportunities. Keir Starmer is considered a fairly close friend of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky when it comes to countering Russia, and it was Starmer, together with Macron, who promoted the idea of a coalition of the willing, the idea of peacekeepers in Ukraine after the ceasefire. And it was the two of them who did not allow Donald Trump to hand Ukraine over to Vladimir Putin. But after the absolutely disastrous local elections for the Labour Party in May, his own party members asked Keir Starmer to resign. The main contender for the position of the new Prime Minister in the United Kingdom is the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, who has long been dubbed the King of the North in Britain. They even held a separate internal party election for him, essentially to nominate him as the new Prime Minister and the new leader of the Labour Party. But what is Burnham ready to offer Ukraine and Europe? Let's discuss this together right now. And here's a spoiler for this episode right away. The mayor of Lviv, Andriy Sadovyi, would be very happy with such a Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. We'll also cover how the mayor of Lviv and Britain's Prime Minister are connected in this episode. My name is Alexei Pichi Pechi. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and leave any comment under this video. So, let's start with the resignation of Keir Starmer. Today, June 22, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, resigned after several weeks of internal turmoil in the British government.
The question my party is asking now is,
am I the best fit
to lead us into the next general election? I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to this question, and I accept it with humility. With good grace. Every decision I made was guided by the interests of the country I love, and that is exactly why I am stepping down. I am buying, not letting anyone pay and leave. This morning I informed about my decision from the pensions energy sector, and I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set a timetable so that the nomination process begins on July 9 and is completed by the summer parliamentary recess. If elections are held, this will allow the new leader to take office before Parliament returns in September. I will remain as Prime Minister until the elections are completed and will do everything possible to ensure an orderly transfer of power. I will also give my successor my full and unconditional support, knowing that he will receive it. Britain, which has become much stronger and fairer than it was 2 years ago when I took office, is now better prepared for the challenges ahead and able to secure a second term in power for the Labour Party.
To understand just how turbulent politics is in Britain, this will be the seventh change of Prime Minister in the last 10 years. The Labour Party, currently led by Keir Starmer, needs to quickly choose a new leader, as the United Kingdom is facing an economic crisis caused by the US war against Iran. Why is Keir Starmer stepping down now? Well, the fact is, the Labour Party has just suffered a catastrophic event. The defeat in the local elections in May, which resulted in the Labour Party losing control of the Welsh Parliament. And local British experts are already saying that these were Labour's worst results ever in Scottish elections. And these same local elections led to the Labour Party losing more than 1,200 council seats across the country. But the elections weren't the only factor in the assessment. It can be said that both Donald Trump and his presidency, to some extent, also sank Starmer's political career. Well, for example, the dismissal of Peter Mandelson from the post of British ambassador to the United States because of his ties with the scandalous Jeffrey Epstein caused a negative reaction. But soon after that, it became known that Keir Starmer still approved Mandelson's candidacy, even though he did not pass the security check. In general, there was a big scandal. Mandelson had already been exposed for his ties with Epstein. Starmer allegedly knew about this and said that he should still be the British ambassador to the US. But after that, Starmer distanced himself from these revelations and stated that he was absolutely furious that members of his government pushed Mandelson's appointment despite the risk. He called it inexcusable and claimed that he wasn't aware of it at all, but many people didn't believe Starmer at the time. But Starmer didn't choose Mandelson for no reason. Despite his connections with Epstein, Starmer believed that Mandelson's experience in trade would help him navigate the tariff policies planned by US President Donald Trump. Supposedly, Mandelson worked with Epstein, Epstein worked with Trump, plus Mandelson worked with financiers who also worked with Trump. And accordingly, he would help him understand the mindset of the American president in general. After the details of Mandelson's relationship with Epstein became known, Mandelson was fired in September 2025 and later arrested on suspicion of abuse of office, including the potential leak of trade secrets to that very Epstein. But Starmer is leaving, and he'll be replaced by someone completely new, another Labour politician. The main contender is the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. And this is not just good, it's excellent news for Ukraine, and next I'll tell you why. Everything related to Ukraine, Andy Burnham supported all of it. He was actively involved in humanitarian support for Ukraine from the very beginning of the full-scale invasion of the wild, unwashed Russians into Ukraine. On the second day of the full-scale war, Burnham wrote a letter to his Ukrainian colleagues, the mayors of cities, to express his support and solidarity, and that's when he wrote the following. I am writing to express my shock, grief, and outrage over the ongoing invasion of Ukraine. Greater Manchester has strong ties with Ukraine, and our region is home to thousands of people of Ukrainian descent. All our people stand in solidarity with you and your citizens during this terrible time. And since then, Burnham and his city have held a lot of fundraisers to help Ukraine. Humanitarian aid drives, financial fundraisers, and so on and so on and so on. In 2024, during the second anniversary of the Russian full-scale invasion, Burnham reminded everyone of the unwavering support for Ukraine. Here's his quote. 2 years ago, we made a commitment to the Ukrainian people that we would stand side by side with them, and our city region does not make empty promises. We see you, we welcome you, we continue to welcome you here, and we will be with you for as long as it takes. In addition, Burnham has publicly stated that he and Greater Manchester recognize the mass killing of Ukrainians by the Soviet Union during 1932-1933, known as the Holodomor, as genocide. Interestingly, Andy Burnham, together with the mayor of Lviv, Andriy Sadovai, and the head of Liverpool, Steve Rotheram, founded the so-called Unbroken Cities Network. And the network was created to support another project, the Unbroken Project. This is a Ukrainian national rehabilitation program designed to help the country overcome the physical and psychological traumas of war, first and foremost, of course, by Ukrainian servicemen. And already in April, Burnham hosted the mayor of Lviv, Andriy Sadovai, and the mayor of Bucha, Anatoly Fedoruk. In addition, in 2022, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, together with partners from the north of England, launched the United for Ukraine initiative. The organization's website published a list of quality job openings from employers ready to support Ukrainians. And this same website directed people to other services such as free English language courses, opening bank accounts, financial management consultations, housing, childcare issues, and so on and so on and so on. In general, it was a resource for Ukrainians who arrived in the United Kingdom after the start of the full-scale war, so they could open it and find absolutely everything they needed right away. And I should note that Andy Burnham has already tried to become the leader of the Labour Party. He ran twice and lost both times. But now this might be a case of what they say, third time's the charm. And after Keir Starmer's resignation, many Labour MPs rallied around the newly elected MP from Makerfield. And it's important to note that Burnham has already overcome the first serious obstacle on his way to Downing Street last week by winning the by-election in Makerfield. He defeated the Reform UK candidate, who came in second place. And now he is the one who could become the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. But here, as they say, there's an interesting plot twist. The fact is that the leader of the Reform UK party, Nigel Farage, has already called for early elections following the resignation of Prime Minister Keir Starmer. According to Farage, parties cannot just change prime ministers at their own discretion. After all, in elections, voters vote not only for the party but also for a specific person who will become prime minister if the party wins the election. Therefore, according to Farage, changing the prime minister within the party is reminiscent of a banana republic where the very principles of the general election process and democracy are devalued. And I should note here that this very Nigel Farage is actively supported by American conservatives. He is supported by Donald Trump. He is supported by Anna Paulina, who is a congresswoman and who recently invited Russian deputies to the United States of America. And they all spoke out against Keir Starmer and would like Nigel Farage, to come to power as another right-wing leader. Well, let's see what happens next. But as for Burnham, this is good news for Ukraine. It means that for both Ukraine and Europe, Britain's position does not change. The Labour Party, as a party, has always been and will always be on Ukraine's side. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and don't forget to hit the bell. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with a donation of any amount using the links and payment details in the video description. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.